boys, welcome to today's video. I'm going to be taking you through the ultimate guide to constantly get into a flow state like that, no problem. Your work is effortless, your life is effortless. No more feeling like the tasks which are going to drive yourself and your business forward feeling mountainous. What is a flow state, Sam? Sounds magical. You probably know what a flow state is, even if you're not that clued up on self-development. And the reason why you probably know what it is because you've probably found yourself in it on accident many times. Do you ever get so involved in something that you literally just lose time? You start doing it, and then you look at your watch and it's 6 p.m. and you've forgotten to eat and you've done an absolute fuck ton of work and it went by like that and it was effortless, easy. That is flow. It makes effort effortless. Time flies and you honestly produce some of your best work within those hours. It's fulfilling as fuck. Producing solid work that you're happy to create and that you get paid for is our ultimate goal. An agreeable way of making a living. Something to be very grateful for. I remember when I would constantly fall into flow states when I was editing my clients' videos. And honestly, I was best known in my editing team as the most time efficient editor. And there's a reason for that. It's because I utilized flow. And because I utilized flow, I managed to make my pay per hour so excellent because I would get so much done in that hour. If you're struggling to up your hourly rate or to get more work done in your business, flow might just be what you're lacking. So, before we get into a flow, there's a few things that we need to do to prepare. Firstly, we need to have peace. We need to create mental clarity. What this means is customizable to you. Speaking of peace. Baby, I'm recording a video.
Oh, I'm so sorry. Hello, editing Sam. I love you.
Things like that is exactly what you don't want happening when you're trying to get into a flow state. I made the rookie move of not putting my WhatsApp on silent. And so I lost my flow. I now have to mentally prepare to get back into my flow. Okay, so creating mental clarity means having a clean environment. So if I have any like bottles or coffee lying on my desk, I'll remove them from at least my peripheral view, right? I'm not gonna do a fucking deep clean right now, but I don't want shit on my desk. I certainly don't want things which are going to distract me on my desk, such as my phone. Essentially, you wanna remove as many variables as you possibly can. I'll give you another example, which thankfully, with my lifestyle setup, is not a variable for me any longer, but when I was working from my parents' house, a variable would be them coming into my room and disrupting me while I'm trying to work. Now, you're gonna have a very hard time completely eliminating this variable because perhaps you have misunderstanding parents, right? Sam, come walk the dog. Sam, come take the bins out. Mom, I'm trying to become a millionaire. You can't eliminate it, but you can try and reduce it, right? Whether that's closing your door, whether that's having a word with your mom and saying, listen, mom, I'm about to go do some work. Please don't disturb me for the next X amount of hours. Whatever it may be, do what you can to eliminate as many variables as you can. You don't want shit coming up. You don't want distractions. You don't want unfinished business. You need peace. You can have a really hard time getting into a flow state, for example, if you've had an argument with your girlfriend and it's unresolved because it's on your mind. I don't like leaving anything unresolved. I don't like unfinished business. Move to resolve anything which is sat on your mind immediately because otherwise you can't get into a flow. And flow is what's going to make you a fuck ton of money. And just a final note, I'll mention meditation even though I don't use meditation myself, but if you meditate or if you pray, because fun fact, praying actually activates the same parts of your brain as meditating does, which I find very interesting. That can help you also find mental clarity and peace before you begin your deep work. This is one of the reasons why protecting your mental clarity is so important. For example, first thing in the morning, a lot of you might be waking up and immediately checking your phones, checking your notifications, checking your emails. Very bad idea because fucking Sally on Instagram has messaged me telling me that she's pregnant. Couldn't be me because I don't engage in casual sex, but a lot of you guys are fucking bandits, okay? Imagine waking up to a text of a girl saying, hey, I might be pregnant. You're not going to be able to do any deep work for the next week until that's resolved in your brain. Just a extreme example for you, but it's these little micro things which make a massive difference to your ability to get into a flow. During your flow state, so obviously you've chosen your work task that you want to do, and we're going to talk about that in a little bit, deciding what tasks are actually worth your flow. For example, perhaps your video editing. Once again, you don't want your fucking phone here, you really don't. Limit the amount of distractions that you have. For example, if I'm video editing, I have to do it on my laptop. Now my laptop makes me financially and location free, and I'm very grateful for my laptop, but also it holds a number of distractions, especially when I'm video editing. Perhaps I open YouTube to download a sound effect, and on my YouTube home feed I see a thumbnail which really catches my eye, and I end up clicking on it and watching it. Flow state's completely dead now. So for whatever your work task is, you need to consider what potential distractions can come up and eliminate them. To eliminate that distraction, for example, perhaps I would install some website blockers so that I can't go on certain websites, or I can install a plugin which actually just removes the home page from YouTube. You can also create a different profile on your computer. So you've got your work profile and your normal profile. You've got all of your social media, emails, etc. on your normal. On your work profile, you've tailored it to be less distract worthy. You've got all your plugins on there. You've only got work stuff on there. You've got nothing else. You've got no other bullshit. And you also need to embody what you're doing. You need to truly dive into what you're doing in this current moment. When I'm sat here recording this video, I'm really trying to place myself as younger Sam, trying to emulate a deep work flow, but really struggling, and I'm trying to understand what his pain points are. I just told you about the video editing one. That's a very real problem that I used to have, and I'm able to think of that and perhaps relate to some of you because I am truly embodying what I'm doing right now. It has my full attention, and I'm trying to be as effective as possible. Now here's what they don't tell you about flow state. 80% of the work that you do should come from your flow state, and frankly it's going to be your best work. And interestingly, I'm coaching a few of my video editing students on a one-to-one basis at the moment, and it varies how long someone can do deep work blocks for before they start to lose focus, because this isn't an infinite energy that you can have, right? We only have so much mental clarity towards doing one task before we start to burn out, unless we're just super fucking passionate about this specific thing. But it has a fuse, it really does. You can't just work 16 hours a day in a flow state. It doesn't work like that. And typically I advise my coaching students to do it in blocks, typically 2 blocks. Now I struggle to go over 2 hours of deep work before my mind starts to wander and I start to lose my creativity. I do highly creative work, and it can be very mentally taxing. However, some of my other students can go for 3 hours, no problem. That's awesome. Don't feel too bad about how long you can or can't do deep work blocks for. Just do what you can and aim to progressively overload it. I'm quite comfortable with 2 hours. Like I say, I'm incredibly time efficient. I get most of my high ROI work done in those 2 hours, no problem. And then I do another block, and that's another 2 hours of really good, solid fucking work. And then outside of that, you've got your shallow work, which doesn't require me to be in a flow. I can listen to my fucking 21 Savage and my podcast while I'm doing it. Perhaps I'm going through some fucking emails. Perhaps I'm like posting on Instagram or whatever. That's fine. You don't have to be in a deep work flow for that shit. That would just be a waste of energy. And also guys, I can't find a tangible downside to drinking a fuck ton of coffee. There's rumblings on the internet about how, you know, being addicted to coffee isn't necessarily the best thing, but every time I've looked at those videos, there's no tangible negatives to being addicted to coffee apart from just being addicted to coffee. You guys should drink a fuck ton of coffee. You should drink it 90 minutes after you wake up, and there's a reason for that. It's a scientific reason. I'm not a scientist. I'm not gonna fucking try and explain it to you. Just don't drink it before 90 minutes after you've woken up. And here's one more thing. If you want to effectively get into flow, you really need to make sure that you're maintaining your high vibrational state. What do I mean by this? I mean that you're waking up and you actually feel good about being alive. You're attacking your day. You're genuinely happy, and more importantly, you're genuinely fulfilled. You're a masculine, competitive man driving towards some goals. If you're failing to maintain your high vibrational state, you're going to really struggle to get into any sort of flow state because you're operating out of lack rather than abundance. And one of the most common things that I see from my video editor students is that some of them might think that sacrificing sleep and going to the gym will actually make them more money. And I couldn't disagree more. If you're sacrificing your high vibrational state, you're going to continually chase money rather than attract it into your life. So make sure that you're looking after yourself, looking after your mental health, exercising every day, and that's when you'll produce your best work, and that's when you'll have a very easy time getting into your flow states. How to maximize your time in flow. Now, this is a game changer, and And it's also incredibly simple. You're going to be shocked, okay? You might even be insulted that I'm telling you this, but if you're anything like me, it didn't come obviously to you for some reason. How you maximize time in flow is by simply doing more of the tasks which allow you to get into a flow and delegating everything else to somebody else. The tasks that I get into a flow state with are the following: making videos, editing videos, anything to do with marketing, email writing, etc. I do a good job at, but it's not flow state worthy stuff for me. And I also find it very mentally taxing because it doesn't really come naturally for me. I'm self-taught, but I'd have a very hard time getting into a flow state with it. It's not like automatic. I think there's certain things in life that you're born to do. I am a born creative. Someone else might be a born athlete. They're in a flow state when they're competing, when they're lifting their weights, when they're training their Muay Thai. That's totally fine. I think you should lean into your strengths, the cards that you're given, and that is how you maximize the amount of time that you spend in flow. Stop fighting against your own nature and actually just lean into it and power level it. Don't be psyoped into believing that perhaps your creative work isn't cool enough to be worthy of your time and attention, because it fucking can be. You don't have to be a geek to be a creative person. I know many creative people who are also absolute G's. And the reason why you might equate being a creative, for example, video editing, to being a geek is because a lot of them are fucking geeks, to be honest. But I'm here to tell you, you don't have to be a geek as well. You can actually be a cool editor, and I know plenty of them. So don't worry too much about chasing someone else's ideal vision and worry more about painting your own. Get real with who you are and what you're good at, and do more of that. And that is my best advice to you, to actually start making some fucking cash on the internet, bro. And finally, a quick optional one. I have a flow state playlist, which I always play when I'm in my flow state. It's essentially just a bunch of kind of sounds, you know? And I find myself falling into a flow state a lot easier when I listen to it. There's no lyrics, there's no fucking twerking, there's no bullshit, okay? It's almost like underwater sounds, you know? The playlist link's in the description. If you're interested in listening to that, you're welcome. And also, in the first link in the description is my Academy of Excellence, where I teach young men how to print cash online from the comfort of their bedroom and achieve a life of financial and location freedom through video editing. We make finding client work on the internet easy. If that sounds interesting to you, I'm not going to try and hard sell you on the offer. Just take a look at the page, first link. Let me know what you think. And if it's for you, you're more than welcome to join over 450 students printing cash online through video editing. I hope this video is helpful. Take care, boys.